It's showtime. What is up, Raider Nation? It is Biggs. I'm here with my special guest. Sorry, not even a guest. He's a co-host at Raider Damas. We are here to break down everything that happened today. It has been absolute madness. From the time that I got up and got out of bed and took the dog out, it's just been reporting on free agency happenings in the world, and I've been losing my absolute mind. So it was a good 7 straight hours of me having to like run around and post articles and make TikTok videos and jump on Twitter and try and get updates and all that stuff. So I've had a fun day. How about you, Raider Damas? Any news?
It has been awesome. I got up and the tampering period began, and within 15 minutes, DeAndre Swift's agents had hammered out a 3-year deal with the Chicago Bears. They worked that quickly. I was astounded at how quickly these people work. It's almost like they've been talking to the team beforehand, and of course they weren't, because that would be wrong and illegal.
Right.
And they can't do that. So I'm just really in awe of these agents here and how quickly they work. I'm also in awe of Kirk Cousins' agent. That guy is a generational bag chaser. If I die and am reincarnated, I want to come back as Kirk Cousins' agent. That guy has made more money for doing absolutely nothing than anybody in the history of humanity. And I want to be him so very badly.
Yeah. Well, we have a ton of news to get to, including your jersey just went up in value.
Oh, I know. I got my Max Crosby here. It just came in the mail today. Very, very excited and proud. My guy, Max Crosby, just for the record, last year was the 8th most double-teamed edge rusher in the NFL. And this year, I'm not sure if he's going to see one, because Christian Wilkins is in town, and it's bad news for opposing quarterbacks.
Yeah, and you stole my tile. I was gonna report that. I don't have a problem with that, because we're both here for the same purpose, and that's getting all this news out to the nation. And real quickly, I'm going to pop the intro open, and let's do this.
All right.
All right. I love that. I love that song. I love the Jeff Hostetler. Oh wait, no, he's not till the outro. I love the Lyle Alzado and John Matusak and my boy Mike Wise, and and then Max getting it going, and it just like, oh, it makes me so psyched. All right, we have already got the comments going. Let's see if we can get more. Raider Ryan, shout out. How are you guys doing? How are you guys liking the signings? We will get to all of them. Not happy about losing to JJ, but happy he got his bag. So let's kick it off with that one. Just for some context, okay? This is what happened today in the world of the NFL tampering period, where now they're allowed to talk to people. We already have agreements for Saquon Barkley going to the Eagles, Austin Eckler going to the Commanders, dodged a bullet on that one, Tony Pollard going to the Titans, DeAndre Swift going to the Bears, Devin Singletary going to the Giants, Gus Edwards going to the Chargers. I want to talk about that one. And Antonio Gibson going to the Patriots. And last but not least, Aaron Jones being released by the Packers because they couldn't get a deal done, and they signed or agreed to a signing with our boy, number 8, Big JJ, Josh Jacobs. Heartbreaking to say the least. I had all hopes that he was going to re-up with us. I think 10 million would have gotten it done. We had thrown numbers around. I was thinking 6 to 8 was going to be the market, but apparently with the tag cost at 14 million. That kind of elevated the market, and the running backs were more than happy to jump on the deals today rather than wait and maybe find something out in August or wait until the tampering period was over or whatever. So uh, Josh Jacobs gives up. That's the headline of the day for, well, headline 1A for us today. Josh Jacobs gives up the lights of Sin City for the tundra of Green Bay.
Well, there are 48 million reasons he's going to go waste the rest of his adulthood in Green Bay, Wisconsin. But, he's from Oklahoma. He's probably used to that small town living in his car life. There's not a whole lot of excitement out there in Green Bay. It's basically a neighborhood built around a football stadium. It's cute. It's nice, but it's not Las Vegas. And Josh Jacobs is a metropolitan kind of guy. He'll probably be spending most of his nights in Milwaukee, I would imagine. But that is a lot of money to spend on a running back. It's a lot of years to commit to a running back. And in actuality, Josh Jacobs' contract is probably 1 year, $12 million, and 3 years of Packers options. So they can get rid of him basically any time, which is fine. Josh Jacobs was drafted in 2019. He's 26 years old right now. At the end of the contract he currently signed, his career will most likely be just about done. Right. And so he got a little bit of security, but not too much. And if they get rid of him, he'll be in the same position now or then as he is right now, or was a day ago, looking for work. And if he puts up a good year in Green Bay, which I have no doubt that he will, they like to run the ball a lot up there, then he'll be just fine.
Yeah, and writing's on the wall for Dillon to leave. Aaron Jones is not coming back, so they're basically starting with Jacobs, and I think there's one other guy that they have in the RB room who's not even on close to the same level. So look for the Packers to draft somebody and Josh Jacobs to be the bell cow at this point. So, I wanted to see him come back, especially after 5 years with the Raiders, being 26 years old and coming off the first major significant time loss due to injury this last season. I wanted him in the building splitting carries with Zamir. The Packers usually run kind of a split backfield, so that's probably going to be the case for him. But if they do wind up giving him 20 touches a game and he stays healthy the whole year, I think at 26, he still has, he's still worth $12 million.
Well, that's what the market dictates. I mean, we've talked about this for the past month on the show, how much we wanted to give Josh Jacobs, and I wasn't going to go a penny over $8 million. And maybe the Raiders offered him a bit more than that, but if the Packers come calling and say we're going to give you this much, Josh Jacobs would have been a fool not to jump on that, and jump on that he did. The market for running backs has been really interesting. Derrick Henry is still unemployed as of this moment. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and somebody will come for him, but it'll be probably closer to the $7 or $8 million range where I would have been comfortable paying Jacobs, and frankly, I'd be comfortable paying Derrick Henry as well. However, I think a much more likely scenario is Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams' best friend, finds his way to Vegas. I think he'll be a Raider in the next few days, and he's a really good back, and I would not mind that one bit.
He's a good back, but his injury history is much worse than we had with Jacobs, and he's 3 years older. So I don't like that signing as much as doing what it would have taken to get Jacobs back in Las Vegas. But we're going to draft a running back apparently.
Yeah, we are, and I'm not sure what round. There is plenty of really good fits in every round. I wouldn't mind, obviously Bucky Irving in the 4th or 5th. I wouldn't mind Isaac Guerrero in that same same area. I wouldn't mind Trey Benson from Florida State. He's a really good all around back. There's so many really good running backs who have about a 6 to 7 year shelf life left in them that we can take and run into the ground.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind going up and getting Audric Estime in the 2nd or 3rd round, the kid from Notre Dame. But as draft season comes, with the news today that the Raiders are going to be leaning on a zone run concept, that kind of changes the calculus for who you want. Like obviously Braylon Allen is not going to be a possibility because he's just a downhill, a lot like Jacobs in the power run game. We're going to want a one cut guy. We're going to want one of the guys that showed out in the shuttle drill and the 3-cone drill and stuff. So go to the NFL.com combine results and rank them by who did well in those events. And we're going to want guys that can cut and have wiggle. And Zamir, I mean, the Raiders have all the confidence in the world in him, and I do too. So that was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, he performed so well in the bell cow role late last season. I wouldn't mind giving Zamir White, just control the RB room and 20 carries a game. I really wouldn't mind doing that. I think he showed out enough. I think he earned our trust.
So that kind of leads to one of the pieces on that line that helped Zamir White do as well as he did. Illuminor is gone.
Yep, signed with the Giants 2 years, $14 million.
So, something like that. So we won't have Jermaine Illuminor to kick around anymore. Hopefully that doesn't mean that we are sold on bringing Van Roten back. But like you said pre-show, the guard market and the running back market absolutely went off today. And we did re-sign Andre James. That was our first or second re-signing of the season because we brought Amir Abdullah back. But we re-signed Andre James. So I know there was a lot of hope in this camp that we were going to be moving on from Andre James and looking to move Parham over. The Raiders considered that, but they knew that to replace Parham at guard was going to cost a pretty penny, and so they tried to avoid that. The other domino piece that fell that is show related is Chris Jones re-upped with the Chiefs. And on our last show on Thursday, we were all just saying, throw him the bag, spend all the cap money, whatever, get Chris Jones in the building. But the fact that we weren't able to do that led to our 1B headline of the day, and that is the signing of an absolute monster in the middle, Christian Wilkins, formerly of the Miami Dolphins. Now, Raider Ryan hops back in with Max and Kuntz are going to feast, and this is exactly why. Now, you mentioned a stat earlier about Max being double teamed the 8th most in the league. The other piece of the Christian Wilkins puzzle is that he and Max were two of the guys that did not come off the field last season. Christian Wilkins played almost all the snaps for Miami, and he's played 17 game seasons the last 3 years in a row. He hasn't missed a game. So based on that injury history, based on his motor and the fact that he's going to be playing, it's going to lead to Max being able to, like Raider Ryan said, feast, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, they say the best ability is availability, and durability goes along with that. When you're a guy like Christian Wilkins who plays every down, and you're a guy like Max Crosby who plays every down, you're proving your worth in every single game. You're making the offense plan for you, game plan for you, and you're showing that it's not easy. Christian Wilkins is easily one of the best players to come out of his draft. He has been a fantastic player. When Chris Jones signed his deal with the Chiefs, I had a pretty bad night. Because as you recall, Chris Jones was my option 1A, 1B, and 1C in free agency. And he did not make it to free agency. And I was very upset about this because I did not want the Raiders to have some kind of fallback option at defensive tackle because I wanted it to be an area of emphasis. Well, luckily, they proved that it was an area of emphasis because within an hour of free agency, they went out and got their guy. Now, they have not had a premier defensive tackle on the Raiders since probably Richard Seymour. And he was a good Raider, and Darrell Russell before him was a good Raider. And the Raiders are always better when they have that stud defensive tackle. And Wilkins is going to be a Raider for the next 4 years and hopefully a little longer than that because defensive tackles tend to age pretty gracefully.
Right.
And he's just going to open up East is going to open up the world for our really good edge rushing group, and I'm excited to see what they can do because the as good as the Raider defense was last season, imagine how much better they could have been with somebody like the newly retired Fletcher Cox, who you've been banging the table for. And I was very sorry to see that for your sake.
Yeah.
But with somebody of that caliber, of that nature in the middle for the Raiders, they would have been not top 3, maybe top 2 and not number 2. You know what I mean? It would have been really, really something. And that's what they're going to be this season. And I don't think they're done either. I think they're going to bring in a corner. I've been hearing Kendall Fuller coming in. There's been rumors of that flying around. They can draft a few linebackers. They can maybe draft a backup safety. They have a really good safety room, but they could certainly add to that. I think they're going to be an absolutely fantastic unit next year, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
And they have a lot of money to spend too. So because they didn't throw it all at Chris Jones like the Chiefs did, what I'm really looking forward to is the versatility of Christian Wilkins. He had 10 sacks last season, if I'm not mistaken, and he's good in run sets, so he doesn't need to come off the field, which means that leaves room for 4 lineman sets with Tyree Wilson working in the 3-tech, Christian Wilkins being able to stop any kind of run game that's there, Big Train Spillane backing him up. The run sets are going to be pretty good. And then Wilkins requiring double teams. Kuntz and Max Crosby are going to be left alone. And we saw what Kuntz did towards the end of last season, really stepped his game up. Tyree Wilson's development is one of co-host Kenny King Jr.'s things to look for next year, thinks that he's going to be one of the most improved players on the defense. And then Max, not being one of the 8th most double team ends, he could get 20 sacks next year if all he has to do is just fly by people. And so that's huge. The Christian Wilkins signing is absolute fire. Tom Telesco is doing a great job so far. We'll see how it plays out on the field, but I like what he's putting together.
I think the Wilkins signing opens the door for Max to win Defensive Player of the Year. I think he can come for Strahan's records. I think he can be on the Bruce Smith, Reggie White level. And frankly, if you have a defensive line of Kuntz, Wilkins, Tyree Wilson, and Max Crosby, who do you double team? Like if you're the center trying to point out protections, or if you're the offensive coordinator trying to game plan, what do you do? Like, what choices do you make? Because there aren't any good ones. They're all bad. And the linebackers will be able to roam free. The secondary will be able to sit back, have a little, have less time that they have to guard their guys. I just think it's going to be really, really hard to deal with the Raiders defense next season.
Yeah. The Raiders defense in the second half of the season last year, when Patrick Graham was allowed to work his magic, was one of the top 5 defenses in the NFL. Now you add Christian Wilkins to that, and it's like putting nitro on your WRX or something. We do have El Capitan Rafucho checking in. My Venezuelan friend, thank you very much, El Capitan, for having me on your show. Reach out to @RaiderDamas and see if he wants to guest over there too. I had a really good time. El Capitan Raf is a really good dude, and has somehow found his way into these live chats with very, very minimal promotion. So I appreciate you being here. All right. So let's talk about 2 bullets. The first one we fully dodged. The second one, we're still in Matrix slow motion mode, and we might just get past it. The first one is Austin Eckler. I brought up a couple weeks ago the possibility of Telesco bringing Eckler on. When Jacobs left, it looked like that might free up some money to do that. And thank God he's a commander. I did not want Eckler. It was just an idea that popped into my head, and I felt bad as soon as I said it because I didn't want to speak it into existence. And thankfully I did not. So Austin Eckler is now a Washington Commander, and we don't have to deal with that bullshit.
Yeah, we just had a GM who liked to bring in all the guys who used to play for the team he was with. And I wanted something a little bit different. I didn't want like the Charger way. You know what I mean? because there's a lot of really good players who used to be on the Chargers who, frankly, Tom Telesco would have been, more than reasonable to bring in, but he hasn't done that. In fact, he got rid of Jerry Tillery. Because that's the kind of petty bullshit that I'm here for. It was he will come back to the Raiders at 80 years old to cut Jerry Tillery's sons. I swear to God, he will do that. And I'm just glad they were moving forward with new faces, new people, guys who look like Raiders, guys who fit, with the Raider image. Because the guy we're probably going to be talking about later on, the quarterback that we signed today, looks like he could have played for John Madden in 1975. He looks like a biker. He looks like that kind of crew, and I'm just absolutely tickled about it.
Yeah, me too. And I just want porn music to be playing behind him every time he walks in the building with his headband on or whatever, head scarf. I don't even know what he uses. He uses something. So that the other bullet. Speak. Use your words. The other bullet that we are in the process of possibly dodging, the other signing, and then getting into draft talk are all very related. So first of all, the Raiders beat writers started reporting earlier today that the Raiders were in talks to acquire Justin Fields from the Chicago Bears. I started doing research on analytics between Justin Fields and Aiden O'Connell because I wanted to be armed for that conversation. And it turns out that as terrible as Justin Fields is passing the ball, his, from PFF standpoint anyway, passing ability was better than Aiden O'Connell's last season. Now, Aiden O'Connell had 3 games that were graded better than Fields' best 3 games. So that's kind of a wash, and Fields was on the field more, obviously. And then you add in Fields' mobility, right? So I'm getting ready for all this, and before I have a chance to even respond to any of the posts, it drops that Gardner Minshew has signed with the Las Vegas Raiders, which as a QB 2-3, I don't hate that at all. I think Gardner Minshew is probably one of the best quarterback 2s that's in the NFL at this point. If you need somebody to come in and start a game for your injured quarterback, or finish a game rather, I'm as comfortable with Gardner Minshew as anybody else. And that's the role that I was hoping for Aiden O'Connell. You want 3 guys in your quarterback room. We released Brian Hoyer. Garoppolo's not coming back. Right now we've got our 2 and our 3, which begs the question, who's going to be the 1? Now, the way that the landscape looks, there's a possibility that we still could make a deal for Justin Fields, bring him to be the QB1, Minshew goes 2, Aiden O'Connell continues to develop. What that would require in the draft is not having to put together a big package for moving up to take a Jane Daniels, a JJ McCarthy, etc. And also not taking Bo Nix at 13 or dropping back and trying to take Michael Penix in the second round, or either of those guys in the second round if they fall that far, etc. That means that we could use our 13 and a second round pick on other positions besides quarterback, which just helps the overall construction of the team. And I like that. However, if we were to put together a package, trade up and get Jaden Daniels or JJ McCarthy, some other such scenario, then we have Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell, who are both fully capable backup quarterbacks who are sitting right there in case something happens. And that's a roster construction that I really admire. I was really, really impressed with the Gardner Minshew signing, simply because Telesco is putting in work and he's looking ahead and he's stacking chips. I love it.
Well, if you are going to, as presumed, release Jimmy Garoppolo after June 1st, then your quarterback room, as of yesterday, consisted of Aiden O'Connell and nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to bring in a rookie, to join this quarterback room, if you're going to draft a guy at 13, or if you're going to trade up and draft somebody else, you're going to put him in a quarterback room with Aiden O'Connell and question mark. Now, who do you want as question mark? Well, I'll tell you, Gardner Minshew is a really good player. Mm-hmm. Gardner Minshew was on the Colts last year, and when Anthony Richardson, his shoulder fell off in week 5, and Gardner Minshew took over in the end of that game and in week 6. And Gardner Minshew, as a starter, went 6-6 for the talentless Indianapolis Colts, and damn near got them into the playoffs and kicked the Raiders' asses personally. Mm-hmm. So I don't mind him being question mark one tiny little bit. He looks like a Raider. He plays like a Raider. I think the fan base is going to love him. He is, in fact, the last quarterback to win a game at the Oakland Coliseum. And I think he will fit in just fine. I don't have any worries about him at all, whether he is – because we've talked about this. We talked about what do you do with a rookie quarterback. Well, what do you do with a rookie quarterback? Ideally, you sit them for a year.
Correct.
When the Bengals drafted Carson Palmer, who may be the best quarterback in the history of that franchise, with all apologies to Boomer Esiason and Ken Anderson, who started after they drafted Carson Palmer? Do you remember?
John Kitna.
John Kitna is the correct answer, sir. Now, Gardner Minshew can be just as good as John Kitna if we decide to draft Bo Nix or Michael Penix at 13, or drop down and draft one of them. We can sit that kid for a year or for 2 years and start Gardner Minshew and not be absolutely awful.
Right.
And then when that kid is ready, he can take over and we can get rid of Gardner Minshew, and all is well with the world. I mean, this is an ideal situation for the Raiders to be in right now, because I honestly think Williams and Daniels are going to go 1-2. So the best the Raiders could probably hope for is that the New England Patriots don't like Drake May very much, and the Raiders can trade to 3. And that's going to take a lot. So I think a more realistic scenario is trading ahead of the Vikings and getting Penix because the Falcons just got their quarterback of the future in the aforementioned Kirk Cousins. So they are in prime position to trade down because they no longer need a quarterback for the foreseeable future. So I would not be surprised if the Raiders made that move to go up to, I believe, 7, where the Falcons are 7, where the Falcons are drafting right now. If the Raiders like Michael Penix enough to go to 7, or if maybe Drake May unexpectedly falls to them, or falls to number 7, the Raiders make a trade to go up. Sure, put Drake May in position number 2, have Minshew start for a year, for 2 years, and then you're good to go.
Well, the Patriots just signed Jacoby Brissett literally just now, so they have their quarterback. So
they have their question mark.
They'll trade the number 3,
and they still have Bailey Zappi too.
Right. So Zappi and Brissett, they're going to draft Drake May, unless. I think they have their eye on Drake May. Jaden Daniels is going to take a serious package to get up to the number 2. But again, and I'm going to hammer this, I like J.J. McCarthy. Now, according to PFF, and again, that's a caveat, according to PFF, Aiden O'Connell is a better passer than Gardner Minshew. Among some of the backups in the NFL that are better than Gardner Minshew, we have Joe Flacco. He's not coming back. Tyrod Taylor, he's done. And that's about it. We get down to number 28, Aiden O'Connell, and Josh Dobbs, Will Levis at 30, Tommy DeVito and Gardner Minshew at 31. So that's according to PFF grades. So take that for what you will. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think at this point, I still would rather have Gardner Minshew commanding the team, as it were, instead of Aiden O'Connell. However, I'm still not sold on Aiden O'Connell, not after 3 or 4 years being a worthy quarterback in the NFL. I can see a good old school Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers type not Hall of Famer, but type career arc for him. Hold a clipboard for a while, be involved, and sometime around 30 years old or so, really have a huge breakout. And I would love to see it happen here. Leonard Williams to the Seahawks. See, it doesn't stop, you guys. It's just like it keeps coming. And I know that Leonard Williams was some of our co-hosts' target. But I mean,
Well, I
that
think
Christian Wilkins changes
if the
things.
Wilkins deal had not worked out, I think Williams would have been target number one for the Raiders, because he grew up a Raider fan. The Raiders love him, and he loves the Raiders. It was just there was somebody better available, and it's too bad. Too bad it didn't work out. I would have loved to see Big Cat on the Raiders.
Yeah, I was hoping that we drafted him, and I was actually kind of upset because I think that was the same draft that we took. Was it Mack and Cooper? And
Cooper was 2015. We took Cooper one pick before Williams went to the Jets.
Okay, so I wanted Kevin White and Leonard Williams, and instead we took Cooper and somebody else a little bit later.
I forget who our second round pick was that year. I really do. 2015 was, it all kind of runs together when you get old,
It was, I mean, this is a live stream, so we got time.
We do.
Leonard Williams draft.
Things were looking up in 2015. We had basically a second year Derek Carr as our quarterback, and it was pretty clear we needed to get him a weapon. And we're drafted fourth, and here's Kevin White and Amari Cooper at the top of the draft. We can have either one of them. We made the correct decision because Kevin White never amounted to anything.
Nothing. He did nothing. I was a huge Kevin White stan, and that did not work out at all.
He didn't have the talent God gave a mole rat.
No, we have. There's such the road to the Super Bowl is, or the road to obscurity is paved with Kevin White's. White went right after Williams, so that was number 7, and then we took.
When a wide receiver goes to the Bears, it's usually a bad time.
Right. So that was an interesting draft. Jameis and Marcus went first and second. Raider legend Marcus Mariota, Dante Fowler, and then Raider legend Amari Cooper. Leonard Williams at 6. Vic Beasley, how'd that work out for you?
Not well.
Not well. And then Mario Edwards. Mario Edwards was our pick. And
Cowboys legend Mario Edwards.
And it wasn't Kevin White. It was Dorial Green Beckham. I was mad because we could have had Williams and Dorial Green Beckham instead of Amari Cooper and Mario Edwards.
There have been colossal bag fumbles and colossal wastes of talent in the history of football, but Dorial Green Beckham is probably top 5 as far as wasting what God gave you. As far as physical ability and ability to make lots and lots of money. No, I'd rather go do something else and waste my life on other things. It's sad to see.
I mean, 6'5", 225 pounds. He was in the league for 2 years. His rookie season wasn't terrible. Trying to remember who the quarterback was because I don't think it was Mariota. I think Mariota. It was Mariota. So imagine if Dorial Green Beckham had Derek Carr throwing him balls then rather than Marcus Mariota, how that could have changed his career. And then we would have had Leonard Williams instead of Mario Edwards. Shout out Mario. And also in that draft, Raider legend Denzel Perryman and Raider legend Amir Abdullah were second rounders.
There were a lot of good players from that draft. Not great players. Like there aren't probably very many like super elite guys or like future Hall of Famers or anything like that. But there were a lot of like good players. There were a lot of guys in that draft.
Mm-hmm. Randy Gregory, Mitch Morse, who would have been nice out of Cal. Who
knew it's Jaguar, Mitch Morse.
Just signed today. I would have much rather signed him than Andre James, and I think I even mentioned that. Landon Collins was in that draft. There were a lot of good guys. There was one that I had seen. Oh yeah, Clive Walford. Tyler Lockett was a third rounder in that draft.
He's a
So,
super underrated guy, like really underrated.
And if he keeps putting together seasons, potential yellow jacket guy.
Could be.
All right,
he won a Super Bowl once.
Yeah, and because that's an individual thing that's done by one wide receiver too.
Yeah, well, I mean, quarterbacks get credit for it. Why not the wide receiver get credit for it?
Right. So when we win our Super Bowl, it'll be because of Jacoby Myers, and when we don't, it'll be because of Jacoby Myers.
It'll be because of guys like John Jenkins. Actually, give him the trophy. Let him keep it at his house on his mantle.
Yes. All right, you guys. There was so much stuff that happened today. It's hard to keep it all straight. So much that I don't even remember if I've already gone through everything that I wanted to talk about. But I feel like we have. We touched on the guys that we lost. We touched on the guys that we signed. We touched on the possibilities for the quarterback room given Minshew and the draft. So I think we're pretty good. We will be back on Thursday night at 8:00 with the scheduled show and have a couple more days of absolute craziness to go over. I'll jump on if anything absolutely nuts happens, like a Justin Fields trade, and I will invite Raider Damas on with me at the same time, or at least notify him of when I'm doing that. But other than that, you guys, thank you very much for watching the show again. I'm going to play a commercial real quick. Don't go away. Like and subscribe and hit the bell so that you get notified next time we go on. And watch the commercial real quick, and I'll be right back. What up, nation? The 2023 NFL season is over, but fantasy football season never stops. You can already draft for the 2024 season on Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to play fantasy football. The Big Board is a pre-NFL draft fantasy football contest with all the incoming rookies in the players pool, even the ones the Raiders haven't drafted yet. Draft your team in 20 rounds, and that's it. You leave it alone, set it and forget it. In best ball format, you get the optimal score to fill your starting lineup. A great way to get your dynasty startup draft fix without any league management at all. It's only $10 to enter, and over $2 million in prizes are up for grabs. How much of that do you want? Be sure to sign up for Underdog with promo code UNDROPPABLE. That's UNDROPPABLE, and you'll get your first deposit matched up to $100. You put in $100, that's 10 leagues. We will give you 100 more. Sign up today. Okay. Tyler, can you think of anything else that you see coming down the pike in the next couple days?
Cornerbacks, like they haven't many cornerbacks. The quarterback market has been real shallow and slow. I see a lot of defensive backs going in the next couple of days. I see more tackles, guards. I think you might see a backup quarterback or two. I think a lot of the big stuff happened today, but I think there will be more big things happening over the next couple of days that are certainly noteworthy.
What about specifically to the Raiders?
Kendall Fuller, I see going to the Raiders. I think Aaron Jones, probably to the Raiders. Maybe on a 1 or 2 year deal. I don't see anything super long term. Or if they want to go young and get AJ Dillon instead from the Packers, then I think he might get a 3 or 4 year deal.
I just don't like Aaron Jones or AJ Dillon very, very much. All right. Yeah. The only thing that I can see, I mean, just looking at the depth chart, looking around at like where we needed to cover, we look like we're in pretty good shape already for going into the draft. And stay tuned just in case Justin Fields somehow makes his way back to Luke Getsy, if that's faded. But comments didn't light up like they did last week. Hopefully everybody's going to be back on Thursday night. It is a later show, so I'm sure it's easier for people to like kind of settle in rather than having to get home from their commute on the West Coast, etc. And everybody share these videos to all of our East Coast Raider Nation, because we tend to go on late, but they might want to catch up and stuff. But other than that, thank you guys for popping in. Raider Ryan, El Capitan Rafucho, thank you for getting into the comment section and everything. Raider Damas, always good talking to you, and we'll see everybody on Thursday night at 8 o'clock Pacific. Once again, fuck the Broncos.
Peace.